So I was among those scientists who had to find a new application of their talents, let's put it that way. And on the other hand, I didn't want to go into trading or finance or anything. I wanted to use my brains and my original, say, competence. And at that time, computer industry and software and localization into multiple languages was just a hot topic. And I thought, oh, it sounds great. I love languages, I love technology, and this is kind of a perfect mix.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Grow IT podcast. One of your hosts here, Trek King. And today we are very excited to have our guest, Mr. Leonid from Logrus IT. And we'll be diving into his story a bit today, as well as what it is his company does. And then, as always, some engaging insights into the technology industry. So make sure to stick around for this one. Hey, but without further ado, Leonid, welcome. Thanks for hopping on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you after the new year, and my special thanks for pronouncing my name so properly.
Excellent. I'm glad. I'm glad. So I think to kick things off, Leonard, if you don't mind, just to introduce yourself and just tell us a bit about your background.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. So, believe it or not, but I originally specialized in plasma physics and computer simulation. I graduated with honors as a Master of Science, and I hold a PhD degree in physics and mathematics. At the same time, I was lucky enough to join one of the first ever software localization projects years ago, and that turned out to be a life changer. Then I co-founded Logrus, a professional software localization company at the time. And at that time, the concept itself was somewhat novel, believe it or not. So I served as the company's CEO since then. And over the last 30 plus years, we now, Logrus IT, have grown from 3 employees to more than 160 with multiple offices around the world, including China, Korea added in 2017, and Turkey added in 2022. So we try to stay within the realm of what we call content creation and transformation, but went far beyond pure translation and software localization into multiple languages. So at the moment, Logrus IT provides both content creation, like blogs, articles, video, websites, e-learning courses, and transformation services. And the latter include translation, software and game localization, multidimensional, holistic quality evaluation and assurance that I'm going to talk about later, and other services.
Excellent. You've got a colorful, very interesting background. You've clearly done a lot. Tell me, Leonard, so how did what is it initially that sparked your interest to to end up with obviously with Logrus now? What sparked that interest?
To tell the truth, there were 2 factors that are completely different. So the first one was that, well, I'm not sure that you're old enough to remember the Star Wars, I mean Reagan's,
Yes.
the Strategic Defense Initiative, but you may have heard about it. The
Yes.
thing is, when the Cold War ended and there was detente everywhere and everybody thought it is forever, well, it's hard to believe it nowadays when there are wars all around the globe. But at that time, a lot of these programs were cut on both sides, in the Soviet Union and in the United States. And a lot of scientists have got laid off because they were no longer needed to devise some more intricate beam weapons and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I was among those scientists who had to find a new application of their talents, let's put it that way. And on the other hand, I didn't want to go into just some trading or finance or anything. I wanted to use my brains and my original, say, competence. And at that time, computer industry and software and localization into multiple languages was just a hot topic. And I thought, oh, it sounds great. I love languages, I love technology, and this is kind of a perfect mix.
That is very, very interesting. Tell me, based on your expertise, what's are like the current market trends that you're picking up in your industry? What ways are the winds blowing? What have you been noticing?
Mm. Well, the most interesting is, I mean, it's a relatively old industry because originally, say, translators or quality evaluators, they date millennia back, not even hundreds of years back. At the same time, technology is playing its role and it accelerated everything. And nowadays, probably the most, say, painful and the most challenging area is AI application. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
incredibly hot topic.
Yeah.
So the thing is, on one side, providers significantly overhype it. Clients sometimes get too optimistic or too conservative, depending on their mindset and their
Yes.
background. And suppliers often lack knowledge, resources, or capital to invest in these solutions. So
The
we at Logrus IT do not want to mislead anyone and always try to provide honest feedback to the best of our current knowledge. And this current knowledge changes every month. So
mm,
applying AI where it really works in a responsible, and I emphasize this word, responsible and transparent way is a challenge for most. Another important aspect relates to copyright restrictions that no one wants to violate, especially given the legitimacy of AI generated content,
mm.
including graphics and text. And it remains murky at best, especially when it comes to materials designated for public consumption or, God forbid, used for marketing.
Yeah.
Things that work, once again, I'm saying it because we're using them. They increase efficiency, and the ones that we use extensively include AI neural voiceovers for speeches, presentations, learning courses, design mockups, where the client
Yeah.
selects the one they like best, and then a human designer is created based on the AI generated draft. Certain image processing tasks built into the tools like Adobe CC Suite or some others, and
mm.
so on. There are plenty of legitimate, responsible applications. At the same time, I would not recommend anyone to use AI generated text or images in their marketing materials. And we've seen quite a number of very bad examples.
I agree. Especially when it comes to marketing, I've actually seen that a lot as well. I think you rightly said, there's a lot of even a lot of specialists like yourself that comes on the podcast. You know, a lot of them are very much positive towards AI and the new developments of it, and whereas there's a lot of people that's a lot more risk adverse, right? So it's like a mixed emotion, and I would say curiously optimistic is the underlying word that's I can see what's going around. But just like what you mentioned now, what you guys do, that is very, very interesting. Having said that, I think, Leonard, this is maybe a good time for the audience, if you don't mind, to explain just and elaborate a bit more. What is it specifically that your company does?
Well, I've outlined multiple areas, but probably the one of most interest to your audience is, well, okay, I'm trying to guess here,
Sure.
is the multidimensional, holistic quality evaluation of any content imaginable. So think of it. You've got a
Yep.
creative team, most companies have got, and with AI help, they're churning out blog posts, product descriptions, website articles, sometimes at lightning speed, if they're not thinking. But the problem is, are you sure it's all hitting the mark? So
Mhm.
content quality is so much more than being fluent, grammatically correct, and properly formatted. The truly important questions that one might ask themselves is your content engaging? Does
Mhm.
it convey the message and or major ideas properly? Or
Mhm.
does it say anything new and convey any messages or ideas at all? Or whether it's just blah, blah, blah. What about fact checking and the veracity of supporting data? Is the right tone of voice used given the audience you're targeting? Is your brand represented adequately? How relevant and impressive are the art pieces, audio, or video materials, and so on and so forth? There are many questions that are extremely diverse. What I'm trying to say is that content quality cannot be summarized into a single integrated score like 7 out of 10. No, it has numerous facets, each of which needs to be evaluated independently. So in our case, the Logrus IT quality evaluation methodology and portal, they act as your content's quality control guardian, if I may. So it bridges the gap between AI-powered creation and human-level quality on the other side. And what's also important is that it allows you to check the ladder. That is, made by humans doesn't mean it's good. So let's not forget that your content, irrespective of how it was created, is still targeted at humans. That is, people like you and I, and needs to be evaluated by humans with some automation assistance. Of course, you can check the content manually based on your impressions without any system, software, or outsourced services. But such ad hoc checks, they tend to overlook important areas. They produce inconsistent results because they're extremely subjective. They are hard to summarize or generalize, and they cannot be used for systemic process improvement. So this is what the Logrus IT's quality evaluation portal is, why it is your best friend. So first of all, we can evaluate anything, whether it's original content, translated content, AI-generated content, video or audio, verbal communications, article, ads, product listings, whatever. Second, we use the multidimensional quality approach. I mentioned this word earlier. So we go beyond simple things like grammar or technical formatting or fluency. We measure factors, just to give you a feel of it, like relevance, engagement, intelligibility, structure, and numerous others, giving you a complete picture of your content's effectiveness on multiple fronts. All metrics are customizable, so there are no cookie-cutter solutions. We analyze your problem or your challenges or your requests, and we design your own metrics to choose, and we obviously use pre-built options that align with the customer's specific needs and goals. For instance, for AI-generated content, I'm using this word because it's a buzzword nowadays, we would strongly suggest an emphasis on fact-checking, data additions, omissions, and overall veracity. Finally, it's scalable complexity. Why it's important? Because sometimes your budgets or time frames vary dramatically. So we adapted to the budget and time frames you've got, and the level of complexity varies significantly, and it's very easy to implement. The important point is we do not provide just a list of, say, issues or potential errors or whatever. We also provide actionable insights. You do not get a score, you get guidance. The reports, they pinpoint areas for improvement and help you refine your, say, AI content for maximum input. What the portal produces, at the last but not the least, is exported into an Excel format so you can play with it and analyze it and distribute it easily without the need for specialized software. And the last but not the least, the client can involve their own experts and creators because we provide them with the required subject area knowledge, and they can provide feedback for the reviewers who sometimes may not know some minute and very important details. Okay, sorry if it's been long. I just tried to go through some major points.
Please go on. This is, I mean, just the amount of value that I've now listened to that your company brings to the table is significant, Leonid. What I actually wanted your take on, and this is now, if you don't mind, if we can step a bit back on, just business in general. I mean, you've been at, you've had this business for quite some time, and obviously you've got a you've got such a rich history when it comes to, when it comes to academics as well. In your opinion, what type of mindset, Leonard, would you say is needed to be a, successful founder of a company?
Well, it's very hard to say because, I'm trying to be realistic, not even modest. I'm not
Sure.
sure I'm a very successful founder because I haven't become very rich. I haven't become very popular. So I have kind of niche popularity. From another hand, I'm still surviving and the company has grown significantly over the years. So
Yep.
I wouldn't produce any final recipes or anything that one can take as the ultimate wisdom. I can just say that the only thing to stay in business and making sure that it keeps you entertained, which is important, you need to like it, really,
Mm.
is that you need to possess an incurable curiosity, which should
Right.
be inside you. Plus,
Mm.
I would say the last but not the least, I mean, that's the first part of it. I mean, if you are not curious about the outside world, if you do not want to learn new things, new methods, new technologies, or ways to apply them to real world problems or your client projects, then probably it's just not for you. I know it's genetic, but either you have it or you do not. It cannot be
Right.
created artificially. It cannot be faked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other aspect of it is, I would humbly say that I would strongly recommend, maybe I'm biased, a solid technical background. Because you
Mm.
can learn any trade in terms of business, finance, to the tiny extent that you need when you're a company leader. I mean, you can rely on experts, but at least understand what they are doing and why, and make
Mm.
your decisions. But you need to understand the technology, because if you do not understand it, you are very easily misled with marketing babble, exaggerations peddled by solution creators and everything else. You get distracted, and it's very hard for you to figure out which can work, which solutions can work, and which ones are fake or their efficiency is overly exaggerated.
Mm. Mm. Tell me if you don't mind, maybe if there's maybe, as I always say, golden nuggets, are there some of like a couple of important things that you've learned in your career, with the business? Obviously, things don't go well from day one up until now. There's always a couple of bumps in the road, right?
No,
Um,
well, not a couple, plenty.
yeah, I'm being diplomatic. So,
Exactly. Well, let's be honest. I mean, in a sense, a friend of mine, I'm not sure whether it's original or not, has said that actually
yeah,
uh, the whole role of the CEO means that you are dealing with fires and emergencies 95% of the time.
right. And the if you don't mind to share maybe one challenge that you had, during the lifespan of the business up until now, a challenge that you had on maybe breaking through that glass ceiling, or that came along a way and that you had to overcome.
I would say that the biggest challenge we faced, apart from political or economical or some other ones that could be painful but are rather mundane. So a more say ideological evolutionary challenge we faced is that we started as a translation and localization company years ago,
Yeah.
and that classical trade with its origin, I don't know, in the prehistoric era, it's gradually coming to an end because of the new technology advances. So more and more is translated using machine translation or recreated using AI-based solutions, meaning, I mean, in the business realm, it makes it less and less profitable and more competitive
Mm,
because
mm,
technology is widespread. So a solution that we needed to find was, I would say, an ideology level one. What do we need to do to stay relevant? And that's where we went upstream in terms of the supply chain and expanded extensively into areas where we think that human competence and human effort will still be required in the future. That is more human labor intensive areas like creating original content. Once again, AI mostly rewrites whatever is already written. It's not original. You cannot create an original thought like that, at least so far.
Yes.
So we started creating all this content like video, textual, custom e-learning courses, and other things. Design, that's one area we expanded into. The other one was we expanded in and put a focus on game localization, where you need it's a merger between classic, say, translation technologies and literature, in a sense, because you have characters, they have history, they have their way of speaking, they have their specific grammar or pronunciations and whatever else. So it needs to be human effort, at least at the moment. So AI generated voiceovers do not work here, especially in AAA games where people pay a significant amount of money and they expect the best in terms of the soundtrack, in terms of the content and everything else. So I would say it was the transition to more human labor intensive areas that are more future proof, and diversification in terms of several areas where we provide services, geographic coverage, and going away from, say, the most mundane tasks to differentiate ourselves from kitchen-based small translation agencies.
Excellent. Well, Leonid, I do need to first off commend you on the business that you've built. I can fully understand why you guys are so successful. I mean, just the innovation and your position on how you see things like AI and what you guys bring to the table from a value standpoint. Thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for willing to share your intellect. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience, and thanks a lot for organizing it.
Just lastly, before I let you go, where can the audience, where can they get hold of you guys?
Oh, it's easy. So either they can go to our website, which is www.logrusit, one word, no dashes, no dots.com. And there is a standard service request form there. Plus, they can learn about latest news and various areas and services. And also, they can contact me on LinkedIn. Well, my name is complex. It's Slavic. It's Leonid Glazychev, and you can find me there. So the spelling is L as in Larry, E as in Edward, O as in Orange, N as in Nancy, I as in Idaho. And the last name is even more complex. It's G as in George, L as in Larry, A as in Apple, Z as in Zebra, Y, C as in Cat, H as in Harry, E as in Edward, and V as in Victor. You can cut it if it's too long.
No, that is well, I can tell you that's most probably the reason why I did not try to pronounce that in the beginning. So that's quite an interesting one. But once again, thank you so much, and all the best to you in your business.
My pleasure.
Take care.
Bye-bye.